Fallout Equestria Survivors Guilds, Chapter 8, A Better Life Underground. Sign up now and prepare for the future. Stable text slogan. Hey every pony out there, it's DJ Pone3 coming at you with the latest news. The Enclave has been reported around Equestria with their promises of helping the wasteland. But don't be fooled, my little ponies. The Enclave has no interest in the greater good other than their own. I've got assurances from the new Cancelot Republic that they will be doing their best to help Equestria. The Enclave doesn't change ponies. They'll kill you or enslave you. It's your choice.
We're coming up on the Mohoof,
one of the mares we were traveling with said. I lowered my earbuds and looked down at the desert that stretched out for miles.
We're going to do a flyover of Stable 48 before we head into Reno. Keep an eye out. We don't want to get ambushed. Alright,
I said, and Ark nodded. Looking out again, I could see the bright lights of New Pegasus still in the distance. How long had it been since we were there to stop the Enclave? It felt like a lifetime ago, but it couldn't be more than just a few months. Now we were here again, heading towards another potential battle with one of the most dangerous enemies Equestria has ever faced. We flew on for a while longer before the landscape below changed into a mountainous area. Just below us was an old road that snaked through the area, leading up to a group of old buildings.
Mount Lily Ski Resort.
I said out loud.
Stable 48 is under that main building, down there. You built it under a ski resort?
One of the rangers asked.
Hey, we had to...
I started to say before there was a glint and a shadow flying above us.
Did any pony else see that?
We were all on edge all of a sudden. We had no idea if it was even anything at all. We drew our weapons and one of the rangers took the minigun and started scanning the skies and ground. For a moment we thought it had just been our imaginations before, but there was a crackle of energy as a massive bolt hit the vertibuk's wing, sent it spiraling towards the ground. I cursed my non-working wings as we grabbed hold of whatever we could, hoping to survive the crash. I shut my eyes tight, but was surprised to feel the vertibuk starting to stabilize a little bit. I opened them up again to see Arclight's horn glowing orange as she struggled to stabilize the falling craft. She managed to hold it for a few minutes, but eventually she couldn't hold it anymore, and the glow faded. There was a sickening crunch as the vertibuk hit the mountainside, and the worlds went black.
My head... How much did I have to drink last night?
I said with a groan as the world slowly came into focus.
She's awake!
A mare's voice said as Schooner jumped up and licked my face.
How are you feeling? Like I got kicked in the head by Big Mac. What happened? We were shot down by the Enclave.
The medic who had been accompanying us said as she bandaged up a broken leg on another ranger.
We were lucky enough that we managed to make it out alive, thanks to your friend here. But we're in bad shape. How far to Reno?
I said as I struggled to get to my hooves.
About 6 hours, if we don't run into any trouble,
the medic said with a sigh.
Arclight went to scout the area ahead of us. Are you able to walk? Yeah, I'm okay. I'm okay,
I said as I got to my hooves.
Are we able to make a move then? We don't have much of a choice,
the medic said as she outfitted a stretcher to carry the ranger with.
The Enclave is only half the problem in these mountains. The local wildlife is just as dangerous.
Oh great, something else wanted to kill us out here. This wasn't our day.
The way ahead looks clear,
Ark said as she came back to the clearing where we were getting ready.
We'd better move fast though. I have no idea how long it'll be clear. Understood,
the medic said as she finished securing the wounded ranger.
Let's get going. You two, keep an eye on your EFS.
We nodded and started walking together into the forest towards the town in the distance. It was quiet in the forest as we kept walking. I felt more on edge than ever as I kept my eye on my EFS. A few hours have passed and we crossed the road to Reno after a while, and started walking in the trees along it. Just as things seemed to be going okay though, a red bar appeared on my EFS's compass. We stopped and eased our way forward slowly. I gulped when I saw what it was. It looked like a bear, but it was much larger and it let out a roar.
Yaogwai!
One of the rangers said, and that was enough for me as I linked up my shots at the monstrous bear's head. We shot at it, but the shots just seemed to make it angrier. That figures, really. The Yaogwai lumbered forward, knocking me out of the way with a swipe of its massive paw as it went for the wounded ranger. As we tried to regroup and the bear started to bear down on the wounded pony, 2 shots rang out, hitting the creature in the back of the head, sending blood and brains splattering.
Ponies. Can't handle one oversized bear without someone coming to save your flank, can you?
A gruff female voice said from above. I looked up to see a griffin looking down at us, and she was dressed like an NCR ranger, with a tan body and white head with feathers around her eyes, at the top of her head dyed blue.
Captain Firebright, I didn't expect to see you here,
the medic said, clearly recognizing the griffin.
Yeah, well, when you didn't check in, they sent us out to look for the lot of ya,
the griffin captain said as she looked over at us as her eyes fell on me and Ark.
And you two must be the VIPs. Captain Henrietta Firebright, just call me Henry. Now, come on, let's get going before that monstrous big brother decides to take a shot at us.
We nodded and started walking again. The Enclave seemed to have lost interest in tracking us, so we took the road the rest of the way to Reno. I looked at our new griffin escort curiously. I had met a few rangers since I had woken up, but most of them had been ponies.
Take a picture, it'll last longer,
Henry said when she caught me looking at her.
Sorry, I was just curious is all,
I said.
You're not exactly what I expected out of a ranger. We come in all shapes and sizes, Scootaloo,
Henry said with a shake of her head.
I can't say I was expecting to run into you, though. Yeah, I get that a lot. So, let me guess. You went on a journey to look for your family or something, didn't you? Yeah, how did you know?
I asked, blinking a little, and that was a strangely specific guess.
About 10 years back, I traveled with another survivor, a filly who was looking for her mother,
Henry said with a sigh.
It didn't end well for her. She was a good kid. Usually. I'm sorry. What was her name?
I asked curiously.
Puppy Smile Days. I know. A strange name even for you ponies,
Henry said with a shrug, which made my eyes go wide.
What? Did you know her? Yeah, I met her while her mom was working for Stabletech,
I said, and I was amazed that that hyperactive little filly I had known had survived the apocalypse and clearly left an impression on Henry.
A cute kid, but she never could get my name right. She kept calling me Scooty or something like that. Yeah, that sounds like Puppy Smiles, alright. She keeps calling me a chicken,
Henry said, and we shared a laugh. It felt good to be able to laugh about something, and it did both of us a world of good. I just hope that wherever Puppy Smiles was now, she was at peace. We finally reached Reno 2 hours later, and we were directed to the local inn to check in and regroup. After settled in, I went down to the hotel's bar and glanced at the zebra behind the bar as I took a seat. "What can I get you?" he asked.
Opal cherry, if you have it, and some information,
I said as he set down the drink.
I'm looking for any information on Stable 48. I've heard they sent some teams out over the years.
Sure, I've met a few ponies from that stable, the zebra said. But I can't give you too much information on them, but I can point you in the right direction, for a fee.
How much?
I asked with a groan. 50 caps. I groaned and sighed. There wasn't much I could do about it, really. Something told me that I wasn't about to talk this zebra down. I looked through my pockets and saddlebags, and thankfully, I had quite a few caps on me, and I laid them out plus enough for the soda. "So you're looking for one of the Timbers mares?" he said, and I looked at him strangely for a moment. "He runs the local brothel, the way I hear it, a mare from Stable 48. She wound up in town 3 months ago and wound up working for him. Don't ask me how."
I'm looking for a prostitute,
I asked, blinking a little. "Yeah? Well, look, you wanted info. That's the best I got," the zebra said with a shake of his head. "I can't remember her name, but she was very pink. You can't miss her."
Yeah, well, thanks,
I said with a groan as I finished my soda. This was gonna be a weird trip. I headed back to where I was supposed to meet up with Arclight and Schooner, who had gotten everything settled in.
So, any luck? Maybe, but you're not gonna like it,
I said with a groan before telling her what I had found.
Scootaloo, you always seem to take me to the weirdest places,
Ark said with a groan as we started out of the inn. Upon arrival at the building after paying the caps, I was directed to one of the rooms where we were told that the mare we were looking for was. Ark said that she felt weird going into there, and I didn't blame her, so here I was, all alone, in a brothel. Sweetie Belle would not be happy with me. When I opened the door, an Earth Pony mare looked up at me from the bed, and she was a shade of deep pink, with a short, darker pink mane and a short tail that was barely covering up her Parts. She was wearing a piece of lingerie that showed off her cutie mark, a pink flower blossom.
So, you're my next client then?
She asked with a sultry smile as she laid back on the bed.
So, what's your... I'm not here for that.
I said with a deep blush that I tried to hide with my fedora.
I'm here because of the bartender at the Blazing Sands said that you're from Stable 48? Yes, Zaven. His sister's a regular.
The mayor said with a light chuckle.
So, what do you want to know? The son of a close friend of mine made it into Stable 48, and I was asked to see if he had any surviving family in the stable.
I said.
There's, a concern that the Enclave may be using his bloodline. Oh, well, what was his name?
I remembered back to when we had been called to the hospital to meet the Foal. It had saddened me a little that Applebloom was giving him up for adoption, but with the war going on, even putting pressure on the Apple family, she couldn't care for him, and neither could the others. The war seemed to have ruined a lot of happy families.
Arkansas Black,
I said as I adjusted my hat again.
I'm not sure if that name means anything to you, but it does.
The mayor interrupted, which surprised me a little.
I was a breeder in Stable 48, so they kept meticulous records of my family tree. Arkansas Black was the name of my ancestor from 200 years ago. Okay, that was easier than I thought it would be.
I said with a shake of my head, but there was still more we had to do before we could leave here.
I still need to get into Stable 48, though. Can you help me?
The mayor cringed a little and shook her head.
That would be difficult for the both of us,
she said as she got to her hooves and walked towards me. My eyes went wide when I saw what she meant. She had a bulge to her stomach that could only mean one thing. I nodded in understanding.
How far along are you? 6 months. The father's the Overmare's son,
she said with a sigh and shook her head.
I left the stable so my foal wouldn't wind up like him. I could get you back into Stable 48, but I don't know if they'll ever let me leave.
Now everything made sense. I sighed and shook my head.
I'll figure something out. What's your name, anyway?
She smiled a little.
Cherry Blossom. So, how'd it go?
Ark asked as I left the building.
Okay, I guess. I found the pony that we were looking for, but we still need to get into Stable 48.
I said with a sigh as I put my hat back on.
She's worried that if she'll return to Stable 48, they'll never let her leave. She was one of the breeders in there, and she's... pregnant, with the Overmare's grandfoal. Well, that's certainly a problem,
Ark said with a sigh as she shook her head a little.
So, what do we need to do then? Seems to me that we need to figure out how to get her out of this place, and then figure out how to guarantee her safety into the stable itself,
I said with a sigh. That wasn't gonna be easy. Maybe if we went in with some backup, we could?
Wait, what about Henry? Maybe she can help us out somehow. That could work. A ranger backing us up could be useful if the Enclave has taken over the stable,
Ark said.
I just hope that we can get this done with as little issues as possible.
I nodded in agreement. I didn't want to have to lie to Arclight about the real reason we had to go to Stable 48, especially with the Enclave making it even more important. If the Enclave had accessed the key, then it would be trouble for everyone. We headed towards the rough-looking building that served as the NCR's embassy in Reno. The city itself was considered independent from what I understood, but the NCR kept a presence in several cities around the wasteland just in case. I was actually struck by how many different races I saw when I arrived. In addition to ponies and griffins, I saw zebras, a minotaur, and something that resembled an even more unpleasant-looking diamond dog, which I thought was a hellhound. We found Henry talking with the zebra ranger, and she waved to us when we approached.
Hey Scootaloo, Arclight. How's Reno treating you? Pretty well. Listen, we were wondering if you can help us with something.
I said and told her what was going on.
I see,
Henry said as she looked thoughtful.
Well, a few of us were supposed to accompany you to the stable anyway, according to our orders, but helping this mare might be... tricky. She knows Stable 48 better than any pony. If we're gonna do this, then we need to get the information that she can provide,
I said with a tone of finality in my voice.
Please, Henry, if there's anything you or the NCR could do, we can use the help.
Henry sighed a little as she thought about it. I just had to hope that I wasn't pushing her too hard right now.
Okay, I'll try and talk with Timber,
she said finally with a shake of her head.
I don't like having to deal with ponies in this town. We might want to consider getting some extra muscle just to be safe. We could try the local bounty hunter guild, the zebra suggested. It's not exactly ideal, but they might be able to get some pony to help. Alright, it's worth a try, Henry said with a nod. Sierra, your job is to talk with the guild. We'll deal with Timber. Yes, ma'am?
The zebra said and headed out of the embassy.
This better be worth the trouble we're going through,
Henry said with a sigh.
If the Enclave really is moving on this territory, we don't have the numbers here to stop them. Don't worry, Henry. If Scootaloo thinks that she can help us, I trust her.
Arclight said.
Alright, I trust you, but if you're wrong, it's on both your heads.
That didn't fill me with confidence as we headed out of the embassy and towards the brothel. Again, this was going to be a long day.